Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now I am back again with Tower of God, and now we're just after all the craziness that happens on the day when the gamblers had lost, and they discussed what's going to happen on the last day of the tournament where they're going to have the grand finale. So Team Fug versus Team Mad Dog, Paragraph's team, and on the other side it's all the other gamblers versus each other to actually win the entire day. Now, this entire tournament has been a setup from the start. There was no chance that Balm was going to be allowed to succeed because they already set it up in such a way that he never stood a chance. They were actually cheating from the get-go. Now, the people cheating over here were Fug's slayers in the form of Karaka and Mad Dog Yama. Now, sorry, not Mad Dog, Baylord Yama. Now, they were the two who were cheating in this entire exam, along with one of the elders who was also helping them cheat. So there's a whole story on that side. On the other side, the ones who were being fair was Jinsung Ha, Mashaya Lazlak, and Viol. Basically, Viol was trying to play this here as much as possible without letting them know who he was. So Fug actually embedded 3 teams into this tournament. So basically it was 3 teams versus Viol's friends, and Viol has to basically fight his friends, to save his friends, to kill his friends. It gets unbelievably complex to the point where you just don't know what in the world to think of what's going on. So that's how badly they have messed up this entire situation. Now, past this whole thing, the next thing that happens of significant discussion to this entire situation is the involvement of the rest of the members from Fug. So they have one team called Team Snakehead, they're another Fug. They have another team with Mad Dog. So Mad Dog's team is actually Baylord Yama's regulars. So that's another Fug team, and there's the team which Balm is in, that makes 3. And the 4th is another regular team, I forgot the name of it, but nonetheless, they were all set up. So all of these were part of the game from the start, and they intended to actually kill all of Balm's friends regardless in this tournament, and to take Balm away and turn him into a weapon. They didn't intend to give him the ignition weapon, they intended to turn him into a weapon like Emily, by dissolving him and giving him to one of the other slayers in the Thorn. Now, the Thorn is a very special object. It is an object left by the irregular Enryu. It is not this small, it's actually huge. It's a towering structure that's as big as a building, right? That's how big it is. And it's actually split into fragments. So there's a total of 4 Thorn fragments that we find out they are in the entire tower. Now, the thing about them is we don't know whether it's 100% only irregulars who can use them, or whether it is only Balm that can use it. We'll find out sooner or later whether Rachel has gotten her hands on one. If she can use it, then any irregular can. If she can't use it, then only Balm can, and everything is totally insane at that point. So here's the whole deal. At this point, we already know that there's a whole lot of traps being set up. Balm doesn't know it, not many others know it. I like to break this up in between, because in this next section it's just betrayals, traps, surprises, surprises, surprises. That's all we're going to hear. Plus there is a little bit of a clip from Will High Youth Song. Yes, they are involved in this tournament, and you're only going to find out about their involvement as soon as we're done with getting through to the next part of the story. So all of this is the hidden component. Now, the next game that happens is the Tournament of Growth. Now, I'm not going to touch on the semi-final between Fug and Team Mad Dog. I'll get into that after this year. So let's start off with the Tournament of Growth. In the Tournament of Growth, all those gamblers who lost will start off with 100,000 points apiece. As you prolong yourself in the game, you earn a certain number of points as time passes, and beyond that, you also earn points by knocking out other players from this entire tournament. And the entire thing that's happening over here is each one of those gamblers has to select a regular, and the regular that they select is their spearhead for their team, and they have a certain cost under 100,000 to start the game. The cheapest spearhead in the entire game is Wagnanja, and Kun obviously selects him because he intends to get him to summon more members to his team, build a very powerful team, knock out all the other teams in the Tournament of Growth, knock out Shibisu's team, and eventually get on to the finals, where he can obviously take on Team Fug or Team Baragra, whichever one wins, but he suspects Team Fug will win. And he's planning all of this, and his plan is quite heavy in the way that he sets it up. Now, everything that's in plan is on the side of Kun. On the side of Fug, this is exactly what they plan to do. They plan to have Beta trap Viol, since they can't have anybody else trap Viol off camera or out of bounds, because that will be a big problem. So they have Beta trap him with the Thorn, then they'll pour in the solution, melt him into the Thorn, and that's how they'll end up with their ignition weapon, with Viol powering up the Thorn. And beyond that, they also planned on the other regulars from Fug, that's the other two teams, killing all of Viol's friends and knocking out every single person who he cares about. They've also enticed Beta to believe that the reason why he is the only survivor from his experiment is all because of the creation of Viol, to make him really bitter. This is so complicated. Now, one of the teams has a parasite as their spearhead. So the parasite is capable of jumping from bodies, taking over a body and defeating a regular that way. And they end up playing the games. So Wagnan is paired off against the regulars Tibo and Libo. They a species that is half and half. So basically they split their bodies in half, and they can use more powerful Shinsu in this way, because they have two extra halves to their body that give them extra power, but it comes with the side effect of them having reduced response times on their half of the body that isn't really part of their body, the fake part. So that's who Wagnan's opponent is. Wagnan is going to rush to the call center and summon a teammate. He ends up trying to summon Quattro, and in the end he ends up knocking out Tibo and Libo when Kun helps him identify the weakness to their power. At this point he ends up winning that match, and Kun is on a good start. He's knocked out his spear bearer, their team receives 100,000 points, and they end up summoning extra teammates. They end up summoning Rak, Quattro, Arc Raptor, and Iwa, if I'm correct. And that's who they end up summoning at the end of the first game. Now after this year, they end up heading back to the lodging area, and they sit it out and they're getting ready to see what's happening in the other side of the tournament. Bethaman is against Team Snakehead, no, not Team Snakehead, one of the other teams, who's a Fug team, and he ends up killing the parasite's host, and the parasite ends up swimming away. Eventually another team ends up knocking out Bethaman, and that's how Bethaman ends up knocked out, and that team ends up winning. Team Snakehead is the other team that complies. So there's two Fug teams, Shibisu's team, and Kun's team that are on the Tournament of Growth. On the other side is the semi-final between the last two teams over there. Once this match completes in the Tournament of Growth, it will be the last team, the semi-final winner, versus whichever team wins on the other side. Now, Viol is already planning to betray Fug at this point, because he found out that they're planning to turn him into a weapon. And they find out that he is the prize for this tournament. The Thorn is the weapon that is being used as the grand prize for the workshop battle. So complicated to explain at this point. Okay, so let's get on to what happens with Team Fug. So Team Fug devises its strategy, and Viol says he will run forward with Novik providing him with defense, and the rest of the team falling slightly behind. And he's going to go straight ahead and fight Paragraph so that they don't have to worry about risking anything against Paragraph. Now, Paragraph is a very powerful regular, as I have mentioned many times before, and Viol is extremely powerful to say the least. So everything is being planned and plotted out, and everybody is in place. But the real solution that Viol worked out was he's going to go and steal the Thorn immediately at the start of this battle. Novik is going to go and guard him. Novik made an arrangement with Team Mad Dog to delay the rest of Team Fug. And beyond all of that, the next thing which was of importance was Yato was in communication with Kun, because that's actually Harwan. And Hurang is also in league with Viol because he intends to join his team after the tournament is over. So Viol ends up going to where the Thorn is kept, and he ends up getting betrayed by Beta. Beta throws him in, locks him in a trap that blocks his Shinsu, and he's stuck with the Thorn inside this room, and that's all that's happening over there. Novik, Hurang, and Yato escape from the team, so Team Fug loses 4 members in total. Team Mad Dog reveals that they're actually still with Fug, they're not enemies of Fug, and that they're here to turn Viol into a weapon for Yama and Karaka, and that's basically what's really happening over here. Now, overall, all of this is quite heavy. It's so overwhelmingly heavy that you need to understand that there's more going on in the backdrop. Now, Harwan, Jinsang Ha, and Mashaya Lazlak, Grace Mashaya Lazlak, already knew that Baylord Yama, Karaka, and one of the elders of Fug were tricking Viol into this tournament. So when they placed their little red ignition weapon holder, the holder for the Thorn in his back, they knew that it would react with the Thorn and capture the Thorn into his body. Harwan, Novik, and Hurang decide they're going to rescue Viol during the next part of the tournament, the tournament of, I think I've called it the Tournament of Power, the building tournament, the power tournament on the other side. They're going to free him during that tournament because the next round is held till one team is left. It's going to be an instantaneous double battle. So you knock out your opponent's spearhead, and then you fight the last team's spearhead once you've summoned your team, and you have an all-out fight. However, before this break ends, Team Snake goes and confronts Kun, and they tell him that they know who he is and they know everything that's going on, and that they're going to kill them all. So basically, Kun knows they're in such big trouble. They know that there's Fug rankers on the Archimedes, so they know they're in a real big trap. The only way they can get out of here is if they win the day. Now, in this time, Huts ended up finding Lero Ro, because Lero Ro joined, let's say this here with a little bit of enthusiasm. Oh, I didn't open it out. I was going to show the Wilhayuk song tattoo on the back of Uric Mazzino, but nonetheless, Huts was helped by Lero Ro, who is an intern at Wilhayuk song. Now, what happened to Lero Ro is as follows. After being fired from the test floor, Lero Ro ended up going to find the truth on the 77th floor of the tower, which is Wilhayuk Song's floor. They arrive on Wilhayuk Song's floor with Quant with Lero Ro. They end up finding Kun Hatsling, or Blueberry, and they end up fighting him for a little bit. Actually, Quant ends up challenging him and going broke, and Lero Ro ends up fighting with him for a little bit before he is interrupted to keep an eye on Viol. Now, when Uric fought Viol, his Scorched King's fist was ultimately very powerful, and something that really shocked Uric was Biol hurt him. He scratched him on the face, and considering the difference in power over here, it's really something spectacular. Remember, Yurik is worth thousands of rankers, and Biol actually managed to scratch him when tons and tons of rankers put together didn't even leave a scratch on his body. So he has been keeping tabs on Biol because he's a really special individual, and he's also collecting special individuals for his group so they can climb the tower and get out. Now, beyond this, the next thing that's happening, besides all of these individuals on their own, is, how do I even explain it? I'm really sorry about this. This is a little bit difficult. So, Will and Yuksong decided they're going to keep tabs on Biol when he enters the workshop battle. They knew that something had gone down, and Hatsling deployed Lero, Ro, and Quant to keep an eye along with himself. So the three of them are there in the workshop. Hatsling has infiltrated the workshop and is pretending to be one of their heads, while Lero, Ro is pretending to be a security guard along with Quant. And they end up catching Hats, and they tell Hats to go to the game and tell Shibisu what's really going on, that Biol is actually bomb, and to tell him that they know that Kun is alive and that Kun is actually the Mr. Mask Man. So they go through, they confront him, Shibisu talks with Kun, they find out everything that happened, they find out that they're trapped in a very big trap, and the only way out is if they win the tournament and get Biol on their team legit. So if they can summon Biol to their team, they get the winning item for the tournament and they can withdraw. They don't have to fight all the way till the end. So Kun, Hats, Shibisu devise a plan. They're gonna eliminate everybody else from the tournament because it's all Fug versus them, and then they'll just have Shibisu's team forfeit so that they can win the game in the end. But during this game, they're going to summon Biol into the arena. So they had a way to do it. Because he's going to be merged with the Thorn, he's going to count as both a person and a weapon, so he can come through the item store if they summon him. So a whole lot happens and the game starts. The team with the Parasite ends up putting the Parasite in Beta because Beta is unbelievably powerful. He's a living ignition weapon. And they end up taking him to fight all of Biol's friends, kill them all, and then they want him to fight anybody else and get rid of them out of the way. Whew, this is so complicated. Iwa and Rak take out several members of the enemy team. Quattro takes out several members of the enemy team as well. And Wagnan is sent on the run to get to the teleportation area. He is in quiet mode so that his lighthouse can't be tracked or his pocket can't be tracked, so that nobody knows where he is. On the other side, at the summoning terminal, Arc Raptor has been deployed to get there along with Prince. And everybody is now moving into their positions. They're knocking out team heads and they're really gathering up their points to be able to summon Biol. Biol is 1,000 points. Oh, sorry, not 1,000. 1 million points to summon. He's one of the most expensive individuals in the entire game. After all the fighting goes down, they end up just making it close to the point where they can actually summon him. And they about 100,000 points short to summon Biol. At this point, Wagner is already at the item store, and to his surprise, Beta shows up, and Beta stabs Wagner through the heart, and as Wagner is suffering on the floor and talking to Biol, Rak, Laure, and Iwa show up, and they end up killing the parasite inside of Beta. I'm not going to get into that nitty-gritty details. And this is where the tournament really ends, because once that spearhead is dead, they have their 1,000,000 points. Wagner, in his almost dead state, gets up to the summoning portal and summons Biol. Beta goes crazy, he tries to destroy the ring, And at this point, they find out that there's only one team left in the game, which is Shibisu's. Kun switches on his pocket and tells Shibisu to instantly withdraw from the game. At this point, the interference that Little Ro had made on the ship ends up affecting everything in the battlefield, and the Rossi gets summoned to the battlefield. The full team with Shibisu is left behind. Viol's team is left behind. Team Fug is left behind on the other side. And Viol is summoned back. He fights Beta. They end up stopping Beta, and they find out that Casino had manipulated this entire situation. When Viol was freed, Harwin, Novik, and Hurang ended up getting captured, and Bam now has to free them at the end of this to get out of this entire situation. Now, in the next video, I'm wrapping up this entire chapter of the workshop battle, and the most interesting era of the tower kicks off from here. So please note that this is just, how do I explain it? This is just the icing on the cake. This is just a thin layer that's put down before they really frost it over and garnish it and make it look beautiful. Because this story is about to be kicked into super overdrive. So keep tuned. Hear the finale of the final part of this tournament. Find out everything that happens with the involvement of Wula Song, and you will then understand how big this next section gets when things start to climb up with the best arc in all of Tower of God. All the way from the start of this next arc called the Hell Train, all the way till the final station. This is the very best Tower of God I have ever read. And I hope that you all do join me for it, because as soon as I am done with the Hell Train comes the discussion of law. And there is a ton to discuss within the tower. There is Jaha, there's the 10 great families, there's so much more. So catch you all then and have a good day.